probably wore out a set of moccasins
My
on the way
foot,
and had to
man,
kill
these
another
hey
deer.
dudes got my feet hurt.
Right,
I can't
right.
imagine walking in some damn,
Man.
moccasins.
It blows your mind when you think about
Some
the
cowhide.
how they
Hey,
survived.
damn, a cowhide. I gotta go,
They made their own.
get a new piece of cowhide.
Yeah.
The sew up my
Or a
shoe.
deer. Probably it was a deer. They'd kill a
Or
deer,
a deer.
and
Yeah.
use that for the moccasins or whatever.
And some
I went through a phase when I was younger
crunched
for
up
reading
leaves or
westerns.
something. I don't know.
A lot of Louis L'Amour and Zane Grey westerns and all that kind of stuff. I've read a bunch of those books. I've probably read.
Never heard of them.
Louis L'Amour was a famous Western author, and then Zane Grey was a famous Western author a generation before Louis L'Amour. But anyways, I've read tons of those books. But they would talk about making moccasins out of deer hide and, whatever you had to do. Yeah, man, I can't.
Yeah, 'cause we didn't have rubber back then. Like,
No.
what did they use as a sole? Like, what was your
Leather.
sole? The leather. You
For
just had a
sure, yeah,
leather
just
sole.
leather. Yeah. I wear moccasins around my house, leather moccasins, and I can go into the shop with them. I can go in the backyard, whatever I want to do. They've got leather on the bottom, but I'm not
walking over some.
I'm not walking across country. I'm not walking
climbing
across
a mountain
town.
with them. Yeah.
I'm not walking across town on the sidewalk with them, let alone,
Wow.
I can't imagine. To me, they're like slippers,
Correct.
but that you can wear outside a little
Correct.
bit,
Correct.
I'm not going to the grocery store in them.
Dang.
I can't imagine.
They were tough people back then.
They were tough people. That's a fact.
Golly, we done got so comfortable in life.
What's that saying? Hard times breed hard men. Tough times breed tough men.
Tough men, yeah.
Tough men make easy times. Easy times make weak men.
Weak men
make hard times.
Hard times, yeah.
And the cycle repeats
it's a cycle,
itself.
yeah.
Yep.
So what generation are we in on that cycle? What generation was me and you? Will we be in the... Because I would say the tough men were the World War II baby boomer
Our
type.
generation is the weak man, I think. I'm 53.
I would think my son's generation might be the weak men.
It might last longer than one generation. I think the generation, our youngest kids, are going to be the tough ones. Enzo.
Because of this generation is going to make it tougher.
For sure. But tougher in different ways. I don't think the apocalypse is imminent. I don't think apocalyptic times are imminent. I don't think that we've got... I could see a financial crisis.
Most definitely. That's going to be the crisis.
I think it'll be a financial crisis, and then depending on how deep that is will depend on how much that becomes an existential crisis.
Great Depression. Would it ever get to that level of...
I think it could get worse.
Ooh.
And the reason I think it could get worse was because during the Great Depression, the only form of currency that we used other than precious metals was money, physical money. Dollar bill, y'all. So if you had money that you hadn't put in the bank, think of how many people had their money in a mattress or in a coffee can stuffed back somewhere. And so during the Great Depression, I think you had some people that still had access to some money because they'd saved the physical currency. I think now our money is X's and ones and zeros. It's all digital. Your money's in the bank.
Intangible.
But you don't...
Intangible?
Maybe, sure.
Because who's just holding on to, let's say, $10,000 in their mattress?
Can't imagine. I try and keep cash around the house in case something happens, but not like that kind of cash.
Right.
Like $1,000. If I had to scrape up all the cash money right now that the banks are open and put it in a sack and leave town with it tonight, I got a little bit at the house. I could probably come up with $2,000 in cash tonight if I had to. Because I did a show this weekend, so I got some cash from that. But that cash will go in the bank, and then at most $1,000 usually, probably a lot of times less than that. And I imagine most people are probably that same way.
And then you got to think the Great Depression, really, people were probably financially poor, but you still had everything you needed. Like, what made it a depression, outside of like the dust bowl, like they couldn't grow because it was just so dry and they had destroyed the land and stripped all the nutrients. But
after the Depression, things were hard to come by. I spoke with my grandmother. She passed away 2 years ago at the age of 99. So she went through all of this. We talked about rationing.
So she would have remembered the Great Depression.
For sure. Yeah,
she would have been, what, 10?
Somewhere in there, probably, yeah.
5.
I can't remember what year she was born. She was young, but she remembers the aftermath of it, and she remembers the attitude of the people that went through it firsthand as breadwinners. you know, how they never, she said, you know, you didn't throw anything away. And my grandmother was a lot like that too. You know, if you could reuse it, you reused it, period. And you went with very little. My grandmother and her and my grandfather raised 3 kids in a house that was probably 800 square feet, maybe 800 square feet or so. It had 3 bedrooms, but I'm talking about the bedrooms were not
like a closet.
The kids' bedrooms were probably, both of them together were probably the size of this room. And then the master bedroom probably was this big. And there was 1 bathroom in the whole house.
Where was this at?
Lansing, Michigan. Tiny living room.
Is that house still
kitchen.
standing, you think?
Last I knew it was, yeah. When my grandmother, she went into a assisted living home in probably when she was 95 or 96. And they sold that house then. But to the best of my knowledge, somebody lives in it today.
Within the last couple years, maybe?
Within the last 10 years for sure.
I bet that house probably worth $1 million.
No, it's not. It's worth, it's sold for less than $30,000.
Man, you said Lansing, Michigan.
It's a tiny little house. Lansing, Michigan is kind of a toilet.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
Depending on where, if you would have said like L.A., Hollywood, maybe. Yeah,
whole different. Oh yeah, for
whole
sure.
different story. You know,
there's a good
Lansing,
size.
Michigan.
It had a good size yard, especially the front yard was small, but the backyard was decent sized. It was, you know, it was a tiny little house. But the other thing was that the house was very dated. For instance, it had fuses and not a breaker box.
Like the screw-in fuses.
Yeah.
I remember those screw-in fuses.
The folks that bought it had to redo all the electrical wiring.
I remember
in the
those.
house.
I remember those days. Damn, a fuse pop. You go look in the junk drawer, you find a fuse. You know, you might need put a penny between it if you don't have one. You know, you add a penny to the fuse.
Then your house burns down.
Then your house burns down. You know, you live to tell the tale. If you're lucky.
It was wild then.
It was. I remember fuses.
Tiny little house.
When last time you actually seen a fuse in a home?
In a home?
It's been a while since I lived in a home. I never lived in a home as an adult with a fuse box.
I'm pretty sure
we still call it the fuse box. Is that what we call it?
Breaker box. I would call it a breaker box now.
I still call it the fuse box.
Probably a lot of people do.
Where's the fuse panel? I don't even say box. The fuse panel.
The fuse panel.
The fuse panel.
Yeah, but you work on cars though.
Where's
so
the fuse panel?
That's car technology.
Yeah,
right there.
the fuse panel. But it ain't. It's just the breaker trip.
Just a breaker box now.
20 amp, 10 amp.
30 amp.
30 amp, you know.
I need to add some breakers to mine and put some. You know how to do that electrical work?
No, I burn your house down.
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm gonna burn my own house down.
I mean, we can go to YouTube University.
Right. Learn anything
we can
on
figure
YouTube
it out. We
University,
go to the YouTube University.
That's sketchy. That's sketchy right there.
It's Veterans Day.
It is Veterans Day, is it not?
It's Veterans Day.
Shout out to all our veterans.
Shout out to all the vets.
Thank you for your service.
Yep, most definitely.
Thank you for your sacrifice.
Yep.
My father's a veteran, Vietnam veteran.
What's his name?
Bob Knox.
Shout out Bob Knox.
Shout out Bob Knox.
That man survived Vietnam.
He did.
Vietnam.
Wow. Survived Vietnam. 2 tours. 2 tours.
Man.
Went the first time, came back, and they drafted his brother. So he volunteered to go back and do another tour. Go back
with his brother.
His brother didn't have to go then.
Oh, he took his brother's spot.
They were the only 2 boys in the family, and during the draft,
one had to go.
Well, they couldn't both go.
Not at the same time.
Right. If one of them went and came back alive, then they would let the other one go, but they didn't want to risk a family losing both of their boys. So if you had one of you over in Vietnam, then the other one got a deferment until they either came back, or if they didn't come back, then you didn't have to go. You just got out of it. And so my dad went back for a second tour, so his brother didn't have to go.
That was very gracious of the United States.
That's one way to look at it.
I was being facetious when I said that. I mean, come on, man. That's crazy.
55,000 people died for no damn reason.
You know what? When we interviewed Sandy last week, I wanted to ask him, why were we in Vietnam? And I never got around to it because time had just went so long, and he was cooking. So
that's a
lot of those questions I never even got to ask that I wanted to ask, like, why were we there, Sandy? It looked like he had some survivor remorse. You know, when he talked about, I
thought so too.
Some of his friends.
Yep.
Why am I here?
And when he talked about the culture there and almost alluded to his opinion that these people didn't deserve the sacrifice that we gave for them. That was some cold stuff to say.
Wow.
That was a cold, I remember looking at his eyes when he said that thinking, wow.
This dude was a Vietnam helicopter pilot.
This dude laid his life on the line every single day. I think he's got a right to have his opinion.
Yep.
That's for damn sure. You flew helicopters in Vietnam. Imagine how many lives he saved by flying into a hot LZ, as it were.
Correct.
You know? Yeah, I can't even imagine. True hero. Shout out to all the true heroes.
For real.
Who have given their blood, sweat, and tears on foreign land through no choice of their own. They just did what their country required them to do.
Wow.
Without question, without hesitation. You can say, I disagree with war. You can disagree with the reasons why we engage in any particular conflict.
Mm-hmm.
But the people that go, it ain't their fault. And they're heroes. That's my Veterans Day rant.
that was a good rant.
Thanks,
and kind of just to piggyback, I went to a Veterans Day assembly with my daughter this past Tuesday or Wednesday. I can't remember what day it was exactly.
This was at her school?
This was at her school. It was
Okay.
Thursday. My apologies. It was Thursday.
Okay.
They had a Veterans Day assembly. And I mean, as we was walking in, they had the whole school inside the auditorium, the gym, you know. And as we was walking in, all the kids, you know, they were just clapping, standing up. You know what I'm saying? They had the color guard there from the high school. And it really almost brought tears to my eyes. And I think that's the first time since I've been out of the military that I said to myself, me going and sacrificing all those years was worth it.
That's the first time you felt it was worth it?
That was the first time I ever felt it was worth it.
Wow.
Like, I would do it again just for a moment like this.
For that appreciation for those kids.
Just that appreciation for those kids.
Interesting.
It was amazing.
How long were you in?
I did 4 years active and 4 in the reserve.
I think we talked about that once, but I want to
8 years total.
8 years total. 4 active and 4 reserve.
4 active and 4 reserve.
Okay.
Because when you sign up, you have to give 8.
Okay.
Whether you give that 8 in the active, whether you give that 8 to the reserve altogether, or whether you mix that time up.
Okay.
You know, so when my initial enlistment was for 4 years active duty.
Okay.
And then once I didn't re-enlist on active duty when my service came due, they automatically transfer you over into the reserves to give another 4 to the reserve, just in case anything kicks off.
1 weekend a month and then a couple weeks a year in the summer?
Excuse me. I didn't even have that. I was let me backtrack. So I was in the inactive reserves.
Inactive reserves.
So it's another.
So you could be called up if something crazy happened.
So they just call me up like once a year for. I know people don't hear this term at all. A muster call.
A muster call, sure.
A muster call. They call you up once a year, you know, kind of randomly. Hey, we need you to report here this date, and they'll do a physical on you, and they'll make sure you're still capable of doing whatever job.
And make sure you remember that you might still be called up to do that job.
And make sure you remember that you might still be called
you say you go like 3 years in, you might ignore that call and have some bad things happen. Come in here every now and then.
Look, I told him if it kicked off, I'm coming in blind, deaf, and dumb. I'm going to be Helen Keller.
So when did you get out? What year did you leave?
I left active in 2010.
Okay.
So I signed up in 2006. 6 to 10, I was active duty. That was my job every day. 9 to 5. When I say 9 to 5, really, it's whatever they want you to work. It's 24/7.
Yeah, that's 24/7.
You know what I'm saying? You know, and then after August 6, 2010 was my date of separation. That's when I switched over.
August 6th,
2010 was my date of separation.
Okay.
I joined August 8th, 2006. Was my first day of enlistment. I actually signed up that February. I think we kind of talked about this. I was in the delayed entry program. I signed up in February, but my day of active duty service started August 8th, 2006.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you for your service.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, sir.
But I say all that to say that, man, seeing those kids, I was like, man, it was worth it.
It's good to see that
appreciation, you know.
And that the kids are being taught how to appreciate the things that really matter.
Yep, it was worth it. You know, I think those guys with Vietnam, they came back and I think people hated them.
Oh, for sure.
They didn't get that type of appreciation.
They got spit on. They called them baby killers.
Wow.
There was all kind of bad things, the things I've heard. It depends on where you came back through. Like most people came back through San Francisco. I think there were some other places where people came in. You know, San Francisco's always been a little crazy. Mm-hmm. It was back then even, you know. Man. That's back during the Haight-Ashbury. Was that San Francisco, Haight-Ashbury? No, I think that's New York. I'm not real sure. But there's a lot of hippies back then. Yeah. That's when the CIA was running the brothels in San Francisco, and they were running
the CIA. Some cold mofos, man.
That's
They
But I think it's important to, I'm the probably as vocal anti-war person as you're going to see.
Mm-hmm.
I understand sometimes you got to fight for what's yours, but you start looking into the history of some of the things that we've done, whether it be Panama, whether it be Vietnam, whether it be Iraq, even the soldiers that went to Iraq, even Tulsi Gabbard says we should have never been there. But that doesn't diminish the service of those men and women who went there.
Yes, no, it does not.
When I come out as staunchly anti-war, I'm not anti-military. I respect our military, and we need them there, and I'm very thankful that we have our strong military. I just think we need to be using them for a lot smarter things than sending them over to fight a war over George Bush's oil or whatever it is.
Right.
That was Dick Cheney's war more than George Bush. We blame Bush on that one, but Dick Cheney was. Funny how he came out in support of the
long and
Democratic
short of it
candidate in this election.
I thank all service members and veterans.
Thank all service members and veterans.
Yeah.
Current, future, past.
Correct.
Past, present, and future.
Past, present,
Thank
and
you for what
future.
you've done for our country.
Thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
Thank you for what you've done for the country. Yeah.
Vendor Chronicles.
Vendor Chronicles.
It's a little late for an intro.
No, it's not.
Y'all know who y'all are talking
late for an intro.
All right, what you got for us? You got something special? Come on, give us something.
I don't got nothing. I don't even know what episode it is. I know it's season 3, episode 3. If I wanna,
Mr. Producer, where are we at? Season 3, episode 2 is what we're recording tonight. All right,
that's that really don't.
You
matter.
Gonna sing us another song?
I don't got one for you today. That one was just on my heart to sing that day.
I'll sing a song.
I'm going to try to back you up.
Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. I'm going to tell y'all a crazy story here in a few minutes.
Nobody knows.
But I'm just telling you, I feel like that dude in the old Western
sorrow.
Running his tin can along the bars of the jail. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows my sorrow. Vendor Chronicles.
Vendor Chronicles. I'm Q the Messenger.
I'm
sitting here.
Brain.
Shane the Brain Knox.
That's a misnomer, by the
way. No, it's not. If I said it once, I said 1,000 times. This is the most intellectual man I know.
You got to get out more, my brother.
Let's go.
Here we go.
Let's go. Vendor Chronicles. Oh, don't forget our illustrious producer.
Our illustrious producer, Kevin the Boss Man Richardson.
Kevin the Boss Man Richardson.
Keeping us in line, keeping us in time.
Shout out that 86 Kids
Shout
Studio.
Out that 86 Kids Studio. Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Huntsville, Alabama. Beautiful city, beautiful studio. Beautiful people, if I may say so.
Yes.
What a lovely day to be alive.
It is.
It's beautiful weather out there.
It's amazing. It was 78 degrees today, I think was the high. Maybe it might have hit 80.
Jessica said 80. Is what she
like,
told me. Yeah,
man, we're in November.
In November.
Almost mid-November.
I played disc golf in what I'm wearing now, shorts and a t-shirt. Yeah, and was very comfortable. Yeah.
That is insane.
Unbelievable, right?
It's very unbelievable.
I'd rather be hot than cold, though.
Oh, any day.
Any day I'd rather be hot than cold.
Any day I'd rather be hot than cold.
I hate being cold.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Here we
once
be.
again.
Here we be.
Here we be.
Here we be.
Y'all didn't hear the conversation at the coffee shop.
They be's acting up down there.
They be acting up down there.
They be acting up down there.
Y'all be crazy. People are going to think I'm being disrespectful.
I'm fixing to start something.
I'm fixing to start something. And if you're really Southern, it's finna. I'm finna start something. I'm finna start something right there.
Finna. Yep. Finna.
Isn't it interesting how much of Southern culture has been picked up by hip-hop culture?
Well, I think
finna is most definitely a word that's used in the hip-hop culture a lot.
Finna.
Same thing with y'all. We talked about the fact that the term y'all has always been a very Southern term, but the hip-hop culture kind of picked up on it in the late 70s, early 80s, and now y'all has really gone worldwide because of the hip-hop culture, which is cultural appropriation.
Hibbity hop.
As a white man, I'm not offended.
Hop. Hibbity to the hip hop. You don't stop. The
that was bad.
To the JJ boogie. Say up the boogie to the boogie to the bee.
Rapper's delight.
Rapper's delight. That's all I got for you. I'm sorry.
Imagine
Come on, let's keep this conversation on track.
All right, keeping it.
We've been digressing.
That's what we're about though.
Digress. I digress.
That would be a good title.
But I would be remiss if I didn't say what I had to say.
I didn't say what I had to say.
Yeah.
Look at you. You're going to be a politician next thing you know.
You think so?
I think so.
You think I got the politician swag?
I think you got enough realism. I don't think you could stand up and talk in sound bites and give people a 20-second
Make America great again.
Yeah, scripted, whatever.
Drop the mic.
But I think if you had 15, 20 minutes to explain a position, I think you'd do it eloquently.
You think so?
In terminology that everybody would understand. Sure, I do. Yeah.
So does that make it eloquently?
It's a very good question.
Because I'm doing it I'm speaking to the blue collar, as you will, or your everyday,
the regular folks,
person, the regular
real
folks.
people, the real people,
the 99%,
the 99%. There you go. Yeah, I definitely think you could speak to the 99% and lead. I'd vote for you. I'd vote for you before I'd vote for me.
No,
trust me when I tell you.
No.
Look, I know some big words and I've read a few books. You don't want me in charge. Trust me when I tell you.
I told you I don't know the answer.
I'll find a job to do behind the scenes and I'll support whatever I can, but some people don't need to be in charge. And I probably look and maybe sometimes sound like I could be in charge. Trust me, man. I'll be your vice president.
Okay.
I'll be the,
VP.
Yeah.
You could be
Yeah.
VP.
Because you know what? A lot of times the VP is the bulldog.
Mm-hmm.
The one that everybody kind of looks at as kind of an asshole.
Right, I got to keep the face,
You could definitely keep the face.
Save face.
And you can stand up and be like, Shane sometimes says some stuff. We discussed this ahead of time, but he went off on his own little rant there.
Right.
Let me calm things down a little bit, y'all. What he meant to say, I kind of need that somebody. Because I would, I'm not the one to be in charge.
Oh, man.
They say power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Power only yields to power.
I couldn't be bought, but
I don't know. Most politicians are bought though.
I think so.
Because I think after you beat in so long, you see everyone else doing it. It's the nature of the beast. You get what I'm saying? Maybe you come in with good intentions.
And when you find out that insider trading is legal for Congress people,
Nancy Pelosi.
Shout out Nancy Pelosi.
Shout out Nancy Pelosi. We got Hillary over there. We got Nancy Pelosi.
Insider.
We name dropping.
Who would you rather have on you? Who would be worse, Hillary or Nancy?
Hillary.
You think?
Hillary's a T-1000.
You don't think Nancy's a T-1000?
Nah, Nancy's like, who can I metaphorically describe Nancy to? I got it. Yeah. If Hillary's a T-1000, I don't know who would give me a character. Nancy would be.
I got to be honest, man. I think Nancy is probably worse than
just
Hillary.
Like a regular Terminator.
You know
what I'm saying? Like,
I don't know.
Hillary's a T-1000. Nancy's just an Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator.
If you come across a group of dudes on the street, right, and there's 4 dudes, right. 3 of them are jumping around, hollering, making a bunch of noise, and there's one dude just kind of sitting back watching. That's the one I'm scared of. The one that's kind of behind the scenes. Not that Nancy Pelosi isn't out there, but
so it's like that.
She's never even tried to hold the top office.
That
She's never
attitude
run for president.
The first Men in Black when Will Smith shoots the little girl holding the advanced calculus
there
books.
You go.
And
there
you got
go.
the alien guy swinging from the pole. He's like, this guy's just working out.
That was badass.
You got little Susie here holding advanced calculus. You know what I'm saying?
And I appreciate if you ease up out my face about it.
Right. She's the threat.
That was fantastic.
That was fantastic. How he cleaned that up. I was like, damn, he's right. But
so Q, how's your week been, man?
Oh man, only had one event that week, and that was just by happenstance.
By happenstance? How's that
with
work?
Mid-City.
Oh, okay. You went ahead and set up at
because I
Mid-City.
thought it was canceled eventually.
It was at first.
And then the day before, they asked, did anybody still want to come out? I was like, man, I ain't had nothing all week.
Well, apparently a number of vendors reached out to Lindsay and asked, since we're not doing a market, but I don't think it's going to be that bad. Can I still set up? And so she decided to go ahead and make it an at-will pop-up market.
Yep.
If I'd been in town, I would have too. Yeah. How did it go?
It went fairly good.
Yeah.
I did better than like an average market.
Okay.
Because a lot of people still showed up that thought the holiday market was still happening.
So you're gonna be double dipping.
Basically.
Smart like a fox.
Yeah. Some people came kind of far. I was probably a little sad for them, and they was a little probably disgruntled. People coming from like Chattanooga. We're expecting the holiday market. And they get here. Oh man, I had my parents come in town for the holiday market, and
that's the problem with changing.
There's only 10 vendors out here.
I'll be interested to see how the turnout is next weekend.
Yeah,
is it going to be a typical holiday?
I think it will. I think it's still. I think it will be. Gonna be. Yeah, good. I think it still will be a good one.
I think it's still going to be good,
especially if the weather's about like it is now.
I hope so.
It's nice,
perfect.
Man.
Perfect for an outdoor show.
It is. It's beautiful.
Not too hot, not too cold.
Correct.
Here before.
What about yourself? You had an interesting week,
man.
I've been chomping at the bit to hear.
I've had the single most challenging week that I've had since I started this business this past week.
That says a lot.
It's been
because you've been in business, 5 years? 5 seasons?
This is our sixth
season.
2019, 20, 22, 23, 24. Yes, this is our sixth season that we're in.
You've been in business 6 seasons, and this has been your most challenging.
Let's see. Of course, the holiday season is, we've got something every weekend. I'm not sometimes even sure what town, sometimes I kind of forget where in the world I am because I'm going so much right now. This is a busy time for us. So with that having been said, my wife and I got our dates wrong on a show we were supposed to do in Birmingham called Christmas Village. Shout out Christmas Village. It turned out it was a great show. So we were supposed to go set up in Birmingham on Tuesday, and the show started on Wednesday.
Okay.
Well, we thought that we set up on Wednesday, and the show started Thursday.
Oh, wow. You was a day late and dollar short.
So Tuesday afternoon, I'm gathering all my materials and getting ready to go out and leave the next morning, and I realize, oh, snap, I'm supposed to be in Birmingham now setting up, and the show starts first thing in the morning. Wow, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we contact the show organizers. They agree if I'll get there first thing in the morning, they'll go ahead and let me set up. I'm going to have to tote all my stuff in from the parking lot, but that's your stupid tax, right?
Right.
Okay, so I said,
but you're not missing a day.
Right.
You're not missing a day.
Let me go ahead and set up and everything is good, right? So, okay, thank you so much. So I go to bed early, get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, leave out at about 4:45, I guess, and I get to Warrior, Alabama. I'm going to make a sound for you. You've heard this sound before. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the sound of a spun bearing. And if you don't know what a spun bearing means, just trust me when I say catastrophic engine failure.
Wow.
You're not coming back from that. You might not even be able to rebuild that depending on what happens to the block.
Wow.
So I get pulled over on the side of the road, and I pull the dipstick, and there's no oil in it. So somewhere, I either dumped the oil or burned it, what have you. It had oil when I left. But anyways, catastrophic engine failure. Mm-hmm. On my way to set up at the show that I'm already late for. It's not like now I can make a contingency plan. So, first of all, you got any idea how much it costs to have a van towed from Warrior to Madison, Alabama? Make a guess.
Probably $30 with AAA.
Wish I had AAA. If it was AAA, it would have been included.
Why you didn't call me?
$468.
Dude, I got a tow dolly.
Do you?
That just sits in my backyard. Car tow dolly. I could have hooked you up to that.
Would have been a help.
Why you didn't call me?
I could have given you $100 for gas.
You didn't use your resources.
I didn't use my resources. You know what? I didn't think
like,
about
damn,
you.
Hey,
I'll think next time.
Even if I had to pull you back, $400
for $400,
I would have. I got a tow strap. Even if I had to hook it up to the front.
That's a long ways to go with a tow strap.
It is what it is. Just watch my tail lights.
Yeah, we'd have figured it out, but that's a long way to go with a strap. So anyway,
I got a tow dolly,
and I'll get some of that back from my insurance company. Not sure how much yet. They're talking about $125, and I'm going to be disputing that for sure. I pay a lot of money for insurance. Shout out State Farm, though. They're great. So, get the van on a rollback, drop it off in the yard, in front of my house, get in touch with the management company, explain to them what's happened. I'm so sorry. I appreciate you working with me already. This is out. I couldn't help this. I've got my wife's SUV loaded to the gills, tent and poles and all kind of stuff strapped to the top of it. I look like Griswold's family vacation going on the road, right? I got all this strapped to
Chase.
You know what? I missed one day. Shout out Chevy Chase.
Chase.
That dude is wild, man. Have you ever listened to interviews?
I haven't.
Listen to him on Joe Rogan,
though, yeah.
talking about crystal skulls and some shit. Man. He's crazy. So I load up my wife's SUV. I convince the show organizers to extend me some grace. Next morning, get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, leave out about 4:45. I get almost all the way to Coleman. Thursday. The second day of the show.
We on Thursday. Okay.
On Thursday now. Second time I've tried. I get almost to Coleman. Transmission starts slipping and doing the herky-jerky, and I get a message that says, service transmission now. I get it pulled over, take a look at it, let it cool down. Long story short, I'm able to limp it back to my house. But now, this is the only other vehicle I got other than my motorcycles. This is a significant Christmas show for us. We count on this income. We need that money. That's, we in the same boat, So now what am I going to do? I don't have a car. Renting a van from Enterprise was going to be $600 plus tax.
And you ain't made no money yet.
I hadn't made any money. Okay, so now do I rent a van and go down there and try and salvage the last 3 days? And that's $600. What's going to go on now? Don't know what to do. Finally, I called the lady and I said, you know what? I'm sorry. I've done the best I can, but I've destroyed 2 cars on the way down here. The SUV is still working. It's going to be, that's another story. Mm-hmm. It ain't been a great car either, by the way. Not shout out Ford Escapes.
The Ford Escape.
Do not buy a
buyers beware.
Tiny 4-cylinder turbocharged SUV.
PSA.
So, get back home with her car, despondent. I've lost all this money, and my van is gone.
And your van's gone.
Gone. It's catastrophic engine failure. Spunded. It spun it. Yeah. I talked to my mechanic, and he said I could put a brand new motor with a good warranty in there for $8,000. Well,
the van ain't even worth $8,000.
I didn't pay $8,000 for it.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So, don't know what I'm going to do. Call the organizers and tell them I'm sorry, I'm not going to make it. Now I've got only one vehicle, and I still have to figure out how to salvage the rest of the season.
And the transmission slipping in that one vehicle. And the transmission
slipping in the one vehicle, and all I've got besides that are motorcycles, on which you cannot ride an 18-month-old baby.
Correct.
So, now what do you do? And, this is a lesson for anybody that's thinking about doing what we do. Sometimes I think we romanticize it, and it's fantastic. I wouldn't trade it for anything. But the flip side of the coin is things like this. There's no safety net. If you don't make it to the show, you don't make money.
You don't.
Period.
Exactly.
Oh, and it cost me $550 to get into the show. On top of that. Non-refundable, sure. Day of? No.
That's an expensive show.
Worth it.
But that's still a lot of money, though, to put up.
For sure. Especially if you're not going to get it back. So.
Wow.
Now it's Thursday evening. And I'm trying to, now you're kind of in, you're despondent. What am I going to do? I've lost a whole bunch of money already. The van is messed up.
And you still got Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
But I got no way of getting there unless I rent a car for $600. And, now I'm, now the money starts not making sense for just a few days.
Correct.
Because there's no way I'm going to get there Friday because I'm going to have to be able to, I'd have to get there at 7 o'clock in the morning I still haven't set a booth up down there. All of my toys and all of my product is still in my possession. I still haven't set up. If they would even let me after a third time of telling them I'm coming when I'm not, right? So I open up Facebook and I click on Marketplace. I don't put a search in, nothing. I just touch the Marketplace icon. The very first thing that comes up, the very first, top left, 1994 Dodge Ram conversion van. 318 small block. The interior has been gutted except for the front 2 seats. And somebody was using it as a camper.
Okay.
111,000 miles.
Which is fairly low.
Fairly low, even for a 94.
That's very low.
Well, yeah, but of course in 94 engines didn't go as long as they do now, But still for that, that's very low. So, guy wants 3,500, 3,000. Somewhere in there. I'm like, you know what? I got nothing else doing. What's it going to hurt me? So I call him up first thing Friday morning. Yada, yada, yada. Okay, so that trailer park? You know where the Botanical Gardens is. Anybody from Huntsville is going to know this. There's a trailer park across
the street. Yep, right across the street.
How would you describe that trailer park? Let's be kind.
They mow the grass.
They do mow. Yeah, they do mow the grass. A good point. Yeah, they mow the grass. They do mow the grass. There you go. It ain't a jungle. Well,
right. I would call it a eyesore. You notice it, but
it's up off of the road enough where it doesn't offend people.
Yeah, it really don't offend no one. It's not
Have
offensive.
You ever driven through there?
I never pulled back down in
So my first time was going in there to look at this van.
Okay.
I get down in there, and a guy with a MAGA hat comes out of his trailer.
Make America great again.
Make America great again. He's got a 357 strapped on his side.
I would have played to that.
Oh, I did play to that. Trust me.
Trust me
when I tell you.
I would have played to.
I played to that.
Hey, brother.
But seriously, this trailer park it's a tough spot. You know what I'm saying? You go in there and you realize you're in a tough spot, and then the guy that lives there comes out of his trailer with a 357 strap.
Revolver?
on his hand. Yeah, nickel plate. Nice 357.
Big ass 357 strapped to him.
Q, I'm going to be 100% honest with you, man. I kind of looked around the trailer park a little bit, and then I lifted up my shirt in the back so my 9 would show. I'm just like,
Right,
you know,
like, hold up.
If this is where we are, I'm going to do as the locals do. You know?
Would it roll?
When in Rome.
Would it
do as
roll,
the Romans.
as you may, as you will. Yeah, would it roll?
So this guy starts telling me the story of this van. It's a 75-year-old lady was living in this van. This was her home.
I can imagine a 75-year-old lady living in a van.
It brought up more questions than not. One thing is that there's an extensive folder full of receipts and maintenance records on this van. An extensive folder.
Most women take care of their
ball joints. She's taking
vehicles.
it into a shop.
Yeah.
Whatever her situation is, she's not like a homeless bum. Whatever. I think she's probably living in a van by choice, or maybe it's just the best option for her. Whatever it is, but you know, whatever it is, the story that this guy gives me is that the lady, somebody in her family, bought her a motorhome, and so now she's living in the motorhome. She sold the van to this guy who was gonna build it into a little dry camper, and then he's always wanted to drive to the Keys. So he's going to drive to the Keys in this van.
This 357 guy.
The 357 guy, that's right.
Okay.
So then he gets diagnosed with prostate cancer.
Wow.
And he has to start treatment immediately, and he's going to not be able to do his trip to the Keys. So now he doesn't need the van. Okay. Standing outside, I felt the heat. I felt the hood. You've done this before. It's a used car. You know, you're going to do little things. I feel the hood. It's not warm. So I'm like, okay. He hadn't
cold.
He hadn't had it cranked up running. He handed me the keys. Standing outside, I reached in, put the key in, twisted it, and it fired up like a kitten. I'm talking about her. You know how an old pushrod V8 does. Just humming. I'm like, okay. Walk around it a little bit, kick the tires, you know, this and that. It's dirty. The guy hasn't even washed it. Long story short, drive the van around. We go back and forth for a few minutes. I'll take $2,500. Okay. Nice drop. And
this is Thursday afternoon?
This is Friday morning.
Friday morning,
Show's
okay.
already going on. This is Friday morning. So $2,500. One way or another, I'm going to have a vehicle. I'm not probably going to find a van of any kind for less than $2,500. I've looked at this one, pulled the dipstick, gotten underneath of it, checked the, you know, everything looks tight. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a chance. What do you do? What do you do? I could go down and finance something. You know, now I'm making payments on top of my bad luck. I'm not doing that. No, not doing that. PSA, if you can ever avoid it, don't finance cars.
Please don't.
Why would you pay interest on an asset that loses value, a depreciating
It's not
asset?
even an asset.
It's not even an asset. It's a liability.
That liability.
We pay interest on it. That having been said, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And I'm not, you know, I'm not judging somebody. I'm just saying if there's a way to do it without financing, that's better. So anyways, I buy the van from the guy. I've driven it. $2,500. I give him cash money. I've driven this van 15 miles maybe. I took a little test drive when I was driving it. You don't have to drive it all over town to be able to know. You know, I got it out on the highway, got it up to speed. You know, whatever. It seems like it's going to be good, and I'm a pretty good judge of cars. So buy the thing from him. But now I call the show organizers again.
Can I get in Saturday?
Stephanie, you wouldn't believe what's been happening here, but I've got a vehicle. I think probably I can get there. If I get there early in the morning, and you could tell she's frustrated. But they hadn't sold my set.
Rightfully so, but still.
It's right there. Rightfully so. But she was... I've lost my microphone.
Technical difficulties.
Whatever it's called. Foam thing. Anyways, so I get up again. This time I got up at 3 and left out at like 15 after 4. Because there's some stuff goes... you know, I've had some bad luck on this road now. So anyways, I get up. The van's already loaded up. This, van I just got from the guy in the trailer park. Saturday morning. First thing, before daylight, ride it to Birmingham. Gets me all the way there. Okay, life is good. I set up my show. Drives me home that night. Sleep in the bed with my wife. Get up the next morning. Hopefully it's going to go back down to Birmingham again. Here we go. Get up. Drives me down to Birmingham. Runs like a champ. I'm talking about the thing is, I'm going to show it to you after a while.
Solid.
I purposely parked it where you wouldn't see it. Because I wanted y'all to hear this story raw. Y'all didn't see it on the street.
I'm like, man, what's
my $2,500. I'm going to call it the shaggin' wagon. No, I'm kidding. I ain't going to call it that.
The shaggin' wagon. What color is it?
It's black. It's a high top. It was a conversion van. When it came out, it would have been top of the line. Like, it's got keyless entry. That wasn't common in 94.
Wow. Yeah.
And the keyless works. The headlights work. The windshield wiper. Everything on the van.
Everything works on the van.
I'm not saying it's brand new. It certainly needs some TLC. But mechanically, it's got great bones. Brand new tires with a brand new full-size spare.
Wow.
It's tight. It gets me there and back.
Sounds like you probably just need a good cleaning.
It needs a good cleaning. It's going to need some other things, but not mechanical.
But not mechanical. Okay.
So it's going to need a seat of some kind in the back so I can put my daughter's car seat in there.
Right.
So I've got work to do for sure, but I like to piddle with stuff. I like to tinker around a little bit. And so, this will be kind of fun. And Jessica has fallen in love with it. She's like, it's a big old van. This is a large and in charge. I got way more room than I did in my little van, which is kind of a blessing. And this has got a 318 V8, so I can pull a trailer with it. It's a 250. It's a Ram 250. So I got,
right.
I could pull your trailer with it, So, so the van was 2,400.
It was 2,400.
No.
25.
25, yeah.
2,500.
The van was 25.
He was asking 3.
He was
you
asking
gave him 25.
I got him down to 25. It's fun doing that Jewing them down. Oh, that's a bad word, isn't it? That negotiation.
That's what they call it, though.
They do, but that's, still, I don't want, I wouldn't want to, if there's any Jews in the audience, I love everybody.
They'll cancel you in the New York minute. That's a way to get canceled right there.
So, 2,500. It's fun talking him down, He goes, I said, I like the van. I said, $3,000 is more than what I was spend. He said, well, this is an old guy, Vietnam vet. He said, well.
Oh, okay. This 357. He was a
this is 357. He was a Vietnam vet too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he said, well, you seem like a pretty nice fella and you're trying to make a living. He says, I'll go down to 28. I said, oh. Man, I was thinking more like 22. I knew we were going to land at 25. You know what I'm saying?
But you still got to play the game. You got to play the game.
Dance the dance.
Yeah,
so
you got to dance the dance.
We settle on 25. He's got a clean title, writes me a bill of sale. I go down there and I make the show for Saturday and Sunday. I get there. Guess how much money I made between Saturday and Sunday?
I'm gonna just say $3,000.
$2,589.
With the van cost.
So I paid for the van. Now I still lost. Whatever sales I would have
$1,000 and that early bird rush.
Well, and whatever sales I would have had those first 3 days.
Yeah, the first
for
3
the whole
days.
show, I've really lost my sales for the whole show.
But in 2 days,
but I still.
That's good money for 2 days.
And I still have a vehicle that I can drive to the next show
and
that I need
to
to
go
to.
A vehicle,
and
right.
It seems. I'll crank it up for you after a while when we go to leave, and you'll see. But I mean, for a '94 Ram, it's tight.
Wow.
It's in, Like, what are the odds that the very first thing I'm going to find on Facebook? So here's what I say, and I realize I've been going on with this story, but this is a real story that happens. This is Vendor Chronicles, and these are the trials and tribulations that you go through.
Tales from a
if
vendor.
You want to have freedom to do what you want to do, you have to take the responsibility that comes with it. There is no free lunch. You ever heard Tanstaffel? Tanstaafl. There ain't no such thing as a free lunch. Robert Heinlein. Shout out Robert Heinlein.
Shout out Robert Heinlein.
So
there's no free lunch.
There is no free lunch. You got to get out there and hustle.
You really do.
And here's the thing. My wife and I talked about this quite a bit before we decided to drop $2,500 of our hard-earned money on a van from a dude in the trailer park that we just have, But had we not bought that vehicle, we would have made $0 this weekend.
And still been out of a vehicle.
Still had to buy one.
Correct.
And so sometimes there's like a million lessons in this. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you got to take a chance. Sometimes you got to get off of the pot and figure something out.
They say,
hey, it doesn't matter.
Shoulda get off the pot.
Shoulda get off of the pot.
That's what they used to tell me.
Do something even if it's wrong. Activity is always going to be better than inactivity. Always be hustling. Always be pushing forward. And, I did have some moments of despair. I'll be honest with you. One blown up car, now a transmission that's, who knows what, and can't make any money this week. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Am I going to have to go back and work for McDonald's again?
Mm-hmm,
What?
Mm-hmm.
But I talked to my wife, who's fantastic. She helped keep my spirits up.
Shout out Jessica Knox.
Shout out Jessica Knox.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out Jessica Knox.
Shout out Jessica
Best decision
Knox.
I ever made. Best thing I ever done. I'm in a lifetime of bad decisions.
Jessica Knox.
My wife is by far the best decision I've ever made.
Wow.
Talk to my son, who kind of slapped me around a little bit. He called me a bitch.
Oh,
He said, "Dad, you're acting like a bitch."
well, when you was,
When I was,
woe is me,
woe is me, woe is me,
woe is me, woe
He's
is
like,
me.
What are you gonna? You just gonna be mad? How's that gonna help anything out? I wasn't mad. I was just
Shout out Daniel Knox.
Shout out Daniel.
That's
Knox.
what
Thank
you need to hear at the time.
That's what you need to
That's
hear.
what he
don't
told
give me
you.
what's
He didn't
easy.
tell you what he wanted.
No,
you wanted to hear. He
what
told
I
you what
needed
you
to hear.
needed to
Yep,
hear.
yep.
Like, man, coming from your son, that's
Yep.
that's what you would have told him.
You better. That's exactly what I would have told
That's
him.
exactly what you would have told him.
And probably nobody else could have told me that at that time, especially either. So
wow. Shout out Daniel Knox.
What a crazy thing. But here's the thing. I believe in karma.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in karma as some kind of a. I don't think there's necessarily some all-knowing something in charge making individual decisions in my life. Of all the billion of people in the world, or however many it is, 3 billion people in the world, there's something that's paying attention to me specifically. Come on. I don't believe in that. But I do believe when you try your best to put something good into the world, that comes back to you. It's like that whole analogy about lighting a candle. One candle's nothing, but one candle can light 1,000 other ones.
One candle can light 1,000.
And I know that I have tried in the last 5 or 6 years to be very mindful of the way that I treat people, because I've got a history of maybe not treating people so well. And I've tried really hard to be mindful of that, whether it's a big tip in a restaurant when I can afford it, or, slipping Dan the man a couple of bucks on the street or whatever it may be.
Right. Shout out Dan the man.
Shout out Dan the man. Cool dude.
Yep.
And I really think, life happens, and you're going to have to deal with difficult things like an engine blowing up and, what are the odds of 2 vehicles at the same time? But nobody gets out of life unscathed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that 2 things make a difference. Number 1 is perseverance. You need somebody in your life that'll tell you, shut up, you're being a little bitch.
Yep.
If you don't have that person in your life, it's time for you to find somebody. And if none of your friends will tell you that you are not acting right, then it's time for you to find at least one friend that will. Because you don't have a real friend if you don't have a friend that'll tell you
the truth.
Shut up, Dad, you're acting like a little bitch.
That's
Get
bad.
out there and do something. That's what you need. And number 2, I believe it's important to make sure that when you can, you put some good into the universe in whatever way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows how it comes back to you? Maybe it's the butterfly effect. Maybe it's karma. Maybe there is a God. I don't know. But whatever it is, I do believe that good brings good back. And you never know what good you do that might help somebody else. And whether or not it comes back to you is irrelevant. You've made the world a better place by doing something good. And maybe somebody did something good for 357 man, and he was willing to let this go. I mean, honestly, he probably could have gotten more money for this van if he'd have cleaned it up and really done something with it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He just needed it gone, and I'm sure he made a few bucks on it. I hope he did.
Right.
But to me, there's so many lessons in this week, but the number 1 takeaway for me is just don't ever stop. Just don't ever stop. Whatever it is. There's an old country song. It's kind of cheesy, but something about if you're going through hell, keep on going. You might get out before the devil even knows you're there. Just keep on going.
Perseverance.
Just keep on going.
Just keep
no matter
on
what.
going.
You got to keep on moving.
You got to persevere.
And the harder you work, the luckier you'll get. I got lucky finding this van on Facebook. But
because let me say something that just came to mind when you said that the harder you work, the luckier you get. It reminds me of like action breeds clarity.
Action breeds clarity. I like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Action breeds clarity. There's no such thing as failure. Thomas Edison said it best. He didn't fail 10,000 times. He just found 10,000 ways of not doing something.
Found 10,000 ways not to do something.
Not to do something that don't work.
That's profound, I think. Mr. Producer just wrote something on the whiteboard. Persevere or disappear.
Disappear.
What a great, I love that.
Basically my mantra in sales.
Mm-hmm.
Your mantra in sales, persevere or disappear. I love that. Yeah. If you don't keep going, you never get to rest on your laurels. You never get to rest on your laurels. And, well, I don't know. Heck, that's my story. That's my week. You know, if you want to know what life really is like as a vendor.
Tales from a vendor.
Behind the table.
Behind the table.
You know,
you heard it here first. Shade the brain.
These are the tales that these are our lives.
The most trying week.
So, if you see
all these years,
now I have a 18-month-old baby. When we started the business, it's me and my wife. You know, we can scramble, we can scratch, we can, have some beanie weenie for, but you don't want that for your child, and when you have a situation where your income is dependent solely upon your ability to get yourself up and, was it Dave Ramsey says, leave the cave, find something, kill it, and drag it back home for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're down, nothing gets drugged back for dinner. I've spent quite a bit of time in self-reflection this week thinking about the choices that I've made. I still think I've made the right choice as far as not having the corporate gig. I get to spend time with my daughter every day. I get to spend time with my wife. I love what I do. But boy, this week has surely made me question that. Surely has made me question it. But I'm still here. Did you ever see that video of Tupac the last time he got went to court and got acquitted for something violent that he probably did, quite frankly? But he came up out of the courthouse swaggering and smirking, and the camera was right on him, and he said something about they've tried to throw everything they could at me, and I'm still here.
I'm still here.
Tupac probably did what they said he did,
He probably did.
But either way, you can't beat me. Don't throw it at me.
Mm-hmm.
What, you going to beat me? Me? You're not going to beat me.
King Kong ain't got shit on you, Shane.
I will outwork you. I will outlast
that's what Denzel said.
What is it?
King Kong ain't got shit on me.
King Kong ain't got shit on me.
Can't beat me.
Come on, you can't beat me because I'm never going to stop. I'm never going to stop. And if you want,
they tried to bury you.
It ain't going to happen.
But
whatever gremlins were living
they
on
didn't realize
I-65, screw you. I made it.
Right.
And you saw me coming through Saturday and Sunday.
I only see one issue with your story, Shane.
What is it?
You didn't call me.
You know what?
When that damn car broke down, you should have been like, damn.
I should have. Next time I will. Appreciate you, brother.
Call me.
Next time I will. And now I got a van that can pull something for you.
Right. Call me.
And you know what, though?
I got a damn car dolly.
Now I also know somebody with a car dolly, and I might need that because I still got a van in my parking lot
that needs to go somewhere.
Puking oil all over everywhere. I called LKQ.
Okay.
How much you think they offered me?
$300.
Okay. $600. $680 if I'll bring it. If I'll bring it to them. And like $590 if they got to come.
What's a motor at LKQ? I mean, or pick and pull. You ever price the motor for it?
And
if we just need to slap a motor in there?
I'm not going to because I ain't going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Right.
I'm going to cut my losses. I'm going to see if I can find another way to unload that, maybe get a little bit more than $600. But if I can't, I can't. I'm going to cut my losses because another philosophy in life I have, out with the old and in with the new.
Out with the old, in with the new.
We spend too much time hanging on to a bunch of crap that's not, you know what?
Look at all the storage facilities they building around.
All the storage facilities.
That is insane.
Now you're paying to keep your junk. And notice how many RVs are in those. So you're probably making a payment on the RV and a payment on the storage.
It's amazing. We store junk.
We store junk.
Get that crap away.
Donate it. You ever heard that George Carlin bit about stuff? How much we got stuff? Oh, you got to listen to the old George Carlin bit about stuff.
I like George Carlin.
Especially his later stuff. Yeah, I loved it.
I really
That was a crazy guy.
Yeah.
Man, we're almost at that hour mark.
I think that message was there, Shay.
Thanks, man. I really have been thinking about how I wanted to put this across because if anything, I hope somebody can look at the lives that we lead and maybe, if nothing else, gain from our experience.
Right.
I don't claim to be wise, but I do have experience. And if I can share that experience, somebody else might, maybe next time it's somebody else on the side of the road with their van
and listening all over. Be like, damn, I remember Q saying he got a car dolly.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Or I remember Kevin, the boss man, saying, persevere or disappear. Persevere or disappear.
Oh, I remember that story about Shane. He made it through.
Somehow. You're always going to make. And, here's the thing. One of the things I try to tell myself when something crazy happens like that is what's it going to look like in 5 years? In 5 years, it's going to be a funny story.
Correct.
So what I did was just put some vinegar on it and let it age real quick, and now it's already a funny story.
It's already a funny story.
Just a few days later, it's already funny.
I heard a guy, he said if it won't matter in 5 years, don't even give it more than 5 minutes of thought.
I love that.
If it won't even matter in 5 years. Like, ask yourself, is this going to really matter in 5 years?
But let me tell you now, 22-year-old Shane, I would have invented some new curse words. And I would have blamed everybody. Preacher man. Whatever it was. Look, you would have thought I had Tourette's. I would have been coming up with so many different things.
Roll Tide.
But that doesn't roll tide, bitch.
Roll Tide, bitch.
I'm gonna start saying that. That's gonna be my go-to curse now. Roll Tide, bitch. I'm so glad that I'm not 22 again.
Oh man,
I would have blamed everybody.
I think I heard a guy. His name is Orson Welles.
Orson Welles.
He said the only disease you don't want to cure is old age.
Wow, Orson Welles said that.
Orson Welles said that.
You know, he
when
wrote
you just
War of the Worlds.
He wrote who?
War of the Worlds.
Oh, I did not know
the
that.
radio show. Yeah.
Okay.
That's Orson Welles, yeah.
Orson Welles.
Yeah.
The only disease you don't want to cure is old age.
That's true.
That kind of remind me what you just said. You're glad you're not 22 no more.
I'm so glad I'm not 22.
Your whole perspective of life.
For sure.
You know.
And my ability to take a bad situation. Excuse me.
I wish I had
and not fly off the handle about it.
I wish I had my 22-year-old body.
Would you trade it to have to go through what your 22-year-old self did to yourself, though?
Oh man, I had a.
You had to make all those.
I had two good knees. I had a left knee and a right knee, not just a good knee and a bad knee. You know, like I don't know.
Right. Maybe.
Like you don't got a left and right no more. You got a good and a bad. Like my good.
And here's the
knee,
thing: I had a lot of fun. A lot of those bad decisions were super fun. I've had a great time. I've had a good run.
Yeah.
And like William Shatner said, I need my pain. Don't take it away from me.
William Shatner.
Shout out William Shatner.
Hey, I think he finally actually went to space. I think
I heard he had I heard he was going to.
One of those guys took him up.
Wow.
At like 90 some years old. Yeah, I'm like, man.
If you could go up into space, would you?
Hell no. I don't even like flying in an airplane.
I don't either, but I'd go tomorrow.
I'd be ready to kiss the ground when I get off the plane.
I would too. But
I'd be like, oh my goodness.
See, now flying itself doesn't bother me. It's the airport situation that bothers me. I don't like being that close up on people.
I'd be like, damn, what happened if this thing blow an engine? You know, all those thoughts start running through my head, rushing through my head like shit. Like just usually when I fly, I got a drink.
Hope you got Captain Scully. That dude can land it in the Hudson River.
Oh yeah.
Captain Scully.
Man, that bird strike and landed in the Hudson.
Yeah, landed in the
Hudson.
That
was amazing.
Yep. I saw that movie. Tom Hanks did a good job with that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Captain Scully landed it in the Hudson.
So, Q, I'm going to put you on the spot here.
No, please don't.
No, I'm going to do it. I need to hear some words of wisdom.
Oh, man.
We got to wrap this up.
With what you said today, I
told you I was putting you on the spot.
It's hard. It's hard to follow up.
This has kind of been a whole words of wisdom conversation.
With that whole situation you just went through.
It was one of those things, yeah.
And that life lesson, that trial and tribulation. You just continue. You just continue to proceed.
You got to.
I guess the root word of going through it is you actually going through. You didn't just stop.
If you stop, you die.
You didn't just stop. Persevere, disappear.
Yep. I ain't gonna disappear.
I like that shit.
I'm not going anywhere.
I would say my words of wisdom for today, and I mean, it's so many things I can tell the audience, but just from this conversation, and y'all bear with me, I'm processing my thoughts out loud.
Sure. That's what this
I guess that's what this whole podcast is about.
That's what it's about.
I would say
processing our thoughts out loud.
Processing these thoughts out loud. I would say how you do anything is how you do everything from your situation. You're not a quitter.
Okay. No, sir.
So quit ain't even in you.
No, sir.
Whether you want to gripe, complain, murmur, complain, bitch, you still continue to go through.
One way or another, I'm going to keep moving.
No matter what the circumstances is.
Till I can't.
Until you can't. Physically.
Right.
Or mentally.
Ain't no mentally.
Or both.
I'm going to keep going.
You're going to keep going.
Till I can't.
So how you do anything is how you do everything. If you're lazy with one aspect in your life, if you're lazy when it comes to, I like to use the description of just making your bed.
Okay.
If you can't even make your bed, you damn sure can't get your ass off the side of the road. You get what I'm saying? Like how,
sure.
How you do anything is how you do everything. I want to see that persevere. Say if I'm hiring an employee,
right?
I want to see that this person is able to persevere through tough times, through adversity, or you just a quitter.
Tough times make tough men.
Tough times make tough men. If I got an employee, we on the way to the show, he breaks down on the side of the road. Oh, he's ready to throw in the towel. Oh, it's over.
It's over. I can't.
Woe is me. You know what? I don't even need you on my staff no more.
No, for sure.
if you're gonna let something like breaking down on the side of the road stop you.
That's a minor thing in the grand scheme of things.
You know,
but it sure did seem big at the time.
I mean, that is.
but you're right though. That's the kind of person. Not just in your. I'm proud to say I have friends like that. And when that's the company I'm sitting in now.
And when you say minor, you know, and really in the grand scheme it is minor. But what about when something major happens?
Sure,
you're gonna really fold.
Cancer or whatever.
Oh man, yeah. It's over.
So listen, I got to tell you guys something. No, I'm just kidding. I
That's
stuff. Oh man, I just wanted to like.
But yeah, so just hey man, how you do anything is how you do everything, and action breeds clarity.
I like both of those. Action breeds clarity.
Get the ball moving.
Yeah,
and work your way through it. Oh man, that didn't work. Let me try something different. Oh, that didn't work. Let me try something else.
But the key there is, let me try something else.
Let me try something else.
Different. Action breeds clarity. You know what? During, sitting on the deck in the back of my house, all right, so I'm going to confess, because sometimes confession is the best way to change behavior. You guys know I was a lifelong cigarette smoker. I've been smoking cigarettes since I was 15, on and off.
Cowboy killers. And
I'm going to tell you, when that van broke down, and when I got it stopped and realized just exactly what it was that I was dealing with, I was at a convenience, thankfully I got it off of the exit or whatever. Went right in and bought me a pack of Newports.
Oh, you got you a pair of Newports.
I went right in and bought me. Look, I haven't smoked a Newport in forever.
Did you pack them?
Yeah, I packed them. I
smoked
like
the people
4
pack.
of them.
What's the purpose of the packing there?
I think it's just something to do, Like,
you see everybody get
a fresh. You do that with a can of Skull,
Yep.
What I'm talking about, where you do this, right? You pack it down. Yeah. Now, that's so you got a little space in there where you can get a pinch and put it in your, as far as packing everybody's superstitious about smoking. Like, some people take one cigarette out of the pack, like a brand new pack, they take one cigarette and they turn it upside down. And that's the last cigarette you smoke out of the pack.
Oh.
People have various reasons for doing that. I've seen people do that, and they say that it's a tribute to, their brother who died last year, so they do that as a remembrance in every pack. Some people say it's luck, brings good luck there. Battery died in our camera.
Mm-hmm.
But, so anyways, I smoked that pack of Newports.
Oh, you done went through the pack.
Oh.
You hit 4.
Yeah. I'm not the same day. It took me till I smoked the last one Saturday night.
Now, do you still get the sensation from the cigarettes as you do from the pouches thing that you gave me?
Yeah.
Because that pouch thing made me high.
Yeah. But I don't get, I'm used to nicotine enough where I don't get actually high, like when you first time you smoke a cigarette or something like that. Yeah. But, a Newport will do it for you. If you need a cigarette rush, go and get you a Newport. There's something about menthol. I think there's like some little pieces of fiberglass, but they make your lungs accept the nicotine better.
Oh,
that ain't good for you. But I think that's why sometimes, most time if you're smoking menthols, you're a fairly hardcore smoker. You don't start out smoking menthols.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, I don't know. In my experience, that's not what people start out. But anyways, if you guys see me smoking a cigarette, please smack the crap out of me and remind me that I promise I won't go buy another pack. I don't think I will. But, for stress release.
Oh, what they say.
What is
I lost my thought. It flew out my head. Hold up. Let's start over.
So if y'all see me smoking a pack of cigarettes, smack me upside the head.
I was gonna say, what they say. A good ending always. A good story always depends on the ending. Let's leave it at that.
Let's leave it at that. With that, we're out. This is Vendor Chronicles. Peace.
Peace.